It's another Manly Monday, and this Manly Monday we're talking about why it's bad to want a girlfriend. Now, this is going to accidentally touch on some of the stuff that happened last week, so I have evidence that I planned this before I did the Creed 3 video last week. Now, my handwriting is a shit show, and yes, I freehand notes, but you see here why it's bad to want a girlfriend. This is before in the notebook, before my Creed 3 notes right there. Okay, so yeah, I was gonna do this. There's 2 pages of notes here, 1 page front and back, right? So this was pre-planned, because some of you, thank you for letting me know that the stalker was in the comments section spamming like crazy. She'll probably do it again. She's just going. It's partially about money. It's partially stuff. Well, some of it we'll get into in this video. So, if you like this sort of content and just watching the drama that's unavoidable when you do this sort of work, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it, Ko-fi.com/LeannaK. You can become a member as well and give monthly support to the Leanna Cares program. Thank you. We've met the goal for this month once. So that means 6 people, the 6 people you can get 1 session this month. If we can go for 2, that'd be great. Bi-weekly is, some people see me every week, but bi-weekly I think is sufficient. But it's up to people. Like, if you want to talk to me once a month, that's great. You want to talk to me, whatever. And don't forget the workshop on April 29th, how to stop beating yourself up. It's gonna be awesome. The research is really fascinating. But okay, so why is it bad to want a girlfriend? This is something that comes up in Leanna Care sessions a lot. It's not bad to want a relationship with someone that you care about and who cares about you. But that's a relationship with an individual, a specific individual, and then you as a specific individual. It's not wanting the role of a girlfriend, right? Wanting to feel loved. Good. Wanting to feel love for someone else. Good. But the idea of a girlfriend is different than the reality of a relationship with a specific person. And wanting a girlfriend instead of wanting to meet a person you have a connection with makes you vulnerable to being taken advantage of. And I don't want to shame anyone. I don't want anybody to feel shamed for saying I want a girlfriend. The reason I'm making this video is I hear this a lot. And I want to caution why that makes you vulnerable. Remember, the reason I am being stalked right now goes all the way back to a guy who got in a relationship with a lunatic, bad crazy. You know I distinguish between good crazy and bad crazy. And some of these red flags were there. But, if you don't set, I've seen some people online refer to them as your pickers. If you don't tune your pickers, meaning what you're looking for in a relationship, why you pick the people you do, you're gonna keep, there's a kind of lewd phrase about putting a particular thing in a body part in crazy. But if you just go to places to meet women, especially if you're shy or at all awkward, okay? If you're just going there to meet women and not because you enjoy the activity or the topic or anything else, the only people who are going to approach you or the only people who are going to respond to anything you do there are people who are not good for anybody. They're not prepared to be in a relationship either. Why? Because you're not there because you're interested. You're not there because you really like, I don't know, calligraphy. I don't know why that's the first thing that came into my mind. I was gonna be, what do you call it when you do ink pen sketching? I don't know. Go for calligraphy. But pottery, yoga. There are all these things. Here's where you go to meet women, and it's all these things. If you don't actually care about yoga, if you don't care about animals, for instance, going to yoga or going to an animal event just to meet women, you're not meeting someone based on core values or common interests. You're going somewhere to meet women. You don't like the thing she's there for because she likes it. That becomes pretty evident. You either don't know anything about it and don't like it. Now, if you don't know anything about something and want to learn, that's cool. Be honest. It's like, I don't know anything about this. It's something I've been interested in for a while. I decided to go. I started going to like a haptics event because I was interested. It was after COVID. Mostly after COVID. I want to get the fuck out of the house. I went to a haptics thing. It was great. It was too far downtown to go regularly, but I was legitimately interested in the topic, and that's really important because you need something to talk to people about, right? If you're just looking for someone to fill a role, you're going to be attracting women. This is specifically women at this point because girlfriend, manly Monday, yes, it's heterosexual. Though apparently this does happen with men involved with men too. I've had some discussions with some guys of late that this tracks, but specifically talking about women here, right? The girlfriend role and the boyfriend role come with different baggage, right? And the important thing to remember is fungibility, interchanging one person for another person, right? Fungibility is a marker of objectification, right? If you're not going to something you're interested in and you're pretending to be interested in it to get a girlfriend, that's also not respecting her likes and dislikes, and that's another way you objectify a person. And not just women, right? Not just women. Women who are looking for a boyfriend and who use boys as interchangeable are also objectifying those boys, right? It's not about the individual man. It's about the role, okay? And the problem that happens there is that brings the bad crazy, okay? Because what happens? You're just latching onto someone to fill a role. She's just latching onto someone to fill a role. Or worse, she might actually like you. But then she gets all the signs that you're not interested in what she's interested in. You really have nothing in common. You just latched onto each other out of mutual and an exchange of desperation. And she starts realizing that she's not really special to you. She's just a girl to you. And this is especially bad. Remember I said if you're shy or awkward, because when you're shy, a woman who's kind of aggressive, right, or very aggressive, will seem like you just hit the lottery, right? Somebody who's instantly enamored with you, this instant connection, stroking your ego in the short term, right? You're so smart, you're so funny, you're so, oh my God, you're so this, you're so that, right? That connection isn't real. That's something she's layering onto it. She's forcing it, right? Because you're doing all these things. You're going to events you don't give a shit about. You're doing things you don't give a shit about because you want a girlfriend. She's read all the online articles about what men want to hear. So flatter him, express interest in the things he likes, laugh at his jokes, say flattering things to boost his self-esteem. There are articles about this stuff. And yeah, it works in the short term. But the problem with this approach is you're not a person to her. She's not a person to you. You're both filling a role. And trust me, even if you think, no, you're really interested in the person, you went to an event you didn't give a shit about just to meet anyone who would talk to you. And I've had situations where a client will say, I'm thinking of asking this girl out. What do you know about her? Dead silence for a while, you know? And then I'll get, well, I know she takes dance classes. Okay, what kind of dance? Don't know. Okay. You know, ballet is different than hip hop dancing, is different than a pole dancing class, is different from like Hungarian folk dancing. I know somebody who does that. So I see that. If it's like, oh, she does Hungarian folk dancing, or he does like Hungarian folk dancing, or like some, I don't know, like Swedish thing or something like that, that's cool. That's somebody who is not lying about an interest to impress you. That's just, yeah, they want to get in touch with their heritage and in touch with their culture. I can stick to that, right? That is a detail that some people are gonna turn their nose up at because it's unexpected, but that's awesome, at least to me, right? Here's the thing where even though we talk about objectifying women a lot, there's a flip side. And at the end of this, both people get hurt. But there's a unique thing with men. Because remember I said the girlfriend role and the boyfriend role have different baggage? Well, the girlfriend is basically the princess, right? Now, I know some people who know they don't want the princess, right? There's a lot of guys who are very quiet about not wanting that because it's not seen as normal, right? But I know a couple of guys who are legitimately into older women because, you know, they know what they want and they just, okay, how do we make this work? And that's great, right? You know what you want. That's a tangible detail. I like someone older. I like someone with these personality characteristics. I have these interests. I'd like somebody to share them with. This is becoming more of a person, right? There are quite a few other people I know who like muscular women and they're like sheepish about it. I'm like, no, go out there and say you find this beautiful and own it and be proud. Because you know what? Women appreciate hearing a guy who doesn't just want the 5'3" to 5'6" skinny white girl with some dyed hair color, right? That is just this interchangeable, appropriate girlfriend, right? Even hearing that there's, and not in judgment, right? Just, you know, it's not, oh, she's a 10, don't do that. Just, you know, she's really pretty. She's very attractive. And, you know, it's better to have more diverse tastes. Like, not have every person you're interested in, just I like the way she looks or I like her personality kind of thing, not come out of the same mold. The more it's like, yeah, she makes that work for her. The total package, just, yeah, she seems confident. She seems to know who she is. That's the stuff. When you can get there, when you can just admire somebody and not have to do anything about it, then you're ready, right? Like, that's a really hot woman or a really hot guy or a really hot in between, or beyond. Um, and you don't have to do anything about it. There's no expectation. There's no, I'm gonna get bitter if that person isn't interested in me. Like, I think Megan Thee Stallion's hotter than shit. She doesn't know I exist. It doesn't matter. She's hotter than shit. Like, you can admire a great work of art without feeling the compulsion to pull it off the wall, right? That's where you want to get to. Appreciate beauty, appreciate talent, appreciate a great personality, and you don't have to do anything about it. That is the fucking Zen, like, Jedi Force thing. That's where you want to be. Because if you're not, and you're looking for someone to fill the role, then you're going to end up with somebody who expects you to fill the role. And while the girlfriend is the fairy tale princess, the boyfriend is the fairy tale prince. The boy band guy. The actor in whatever Twilight style shite was out when she was in high school, right? I mean, God, I'm trying to think of it. When Sandman came out on Netflix, I was horrified because that was the gothy dream boy that, what was the thing that made all the girls go, when I was in high school. And back then, he seemed tortured. And so you could make a connection because he was willing to express his feelings. That's what we thought back then. Now it's like, no, he's angry and vengeful and abusive. And so it's, all right. And I spend a lot of time going, do I still do things? Are my pickers still attracting that type of personality? I determined no. I don't look for the same things anymore, proven by the fact that I was horrified, right? But having to live up to any character that goes by a script, okay? This thing, he says the right thing, he does the right thing, or if he doesn't, if he screws up because you need it for the plot, he makes the epic monologue, recovery, and part of the reason I enjoyed the core of Thor: Love and Thunder is Thor, the big dream boy for, I'm going to be self-effacing here, normal women. He completely fucked up the relationship because it was, I'm here and you're here and you taught me some humility. And so now we're in love. And now I'm going to go back to my alien god planet dimension. Because, yeah, we come from completely different cultures, didn't think this through, reality hit, and now we're both trying to protect ourselves because now it's hard. Now we have to work through the assumptions and miscommunications and the things that don't quite fit. And that's work. And when everything's the fairy tale never shows the damn work. Like, God, in Cinderella, he tries shoes on women. Okay, there. But That's about all the handsome prince puts in. The handsome prince is essentially inert, right? And you are never going to fill that role properly according to a woman who's looking for a boyfriend. The same way she's never going to really fill the role of you looking for a girlfriend. Okay? But there's a particular thing that happens in women because of the social messaging when she both realizes that, you know, you're sort of disappointed, but she's also realizing that the boyfriend isn't turning out like Prince Charming, right? Or whoever, or like the fucking Crow. The Crow was huge when I was a teenager. You know, or the various grunge musicians, or God, I'm trying to think who else. New Kids on the Block was already sort of petering out by that point. But yeah, like that was the sort of stuff I was into, you know, like Cobain died in what, like 95? But it was like Trent Reznor and Eddie Vedder, and you get the point, right? Like, but when that happens, women blame themselves. And then the crazy starts. The jealousy starts. The hinting starts. The expecting you to mind read starts. And at that point, it just descends, right? And then she's the crazy ex-girlfriend in waiting. You're the abusive ex-boyfriend in waiting, or the emotionally neglectful, emotionally unavailable guy. And that, I mean, that's what Thor ended up being to Jane, you know, in the beginning of the events of Love and Thunder. Like, they couldn't be vulnerable because playing roles. I thought that was pretty brilliant about that movie, and I wish it had just focused in that, but that's not what we're going to get from one of those movies, because that was good. But that, the women's brain goes, he's not showing appropriate interest in me. He's not showing the interest in me that I want. He seems distant. He seems uninterested. He's not as into it. There must be something wrong with me. No, I'm not supposed to say there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with him, right? But the immediate instinct is there's something wrong with me. If she's not completely in love, there's something wrong with her. No, there's something wrong with him. And if he's not completely in love, there's something wrong with me. No, there's something wrong with him. It always starts as inferiority complex, because this is not a stable woman who knows what she wants, knows at least broad strokes what she's looking for in a partner. This is somebody who wants a boyfriend, right? So it goes instantly to, I'm unworthy, I'm worthless, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, blah, 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 I'm not interesting, all the things that women's magazines are designed to pick the scabs of. And then, because society's like, no, you don't do that, it's him, she turns that self-loathing on you. Yes, she will. And if you're horrified right now, good. Because I'm going to reiterate what you do instead, because all is not lost. Okay? I don't care how old you are, an emotionally centered woman is not, an emotionally centered and mature woman is not going to look down on you for a lack of experience. Okay? Learn to communicate. Learn how to name your feelings and express them in a way that's, not psycho. Just like, I'm feeling angry, I don't need to do anything about it. I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling hurt, I don't need to do anything about it. and learn how to say, that made me feel, instead of you did this. That's real important. But, there was this, it's different for women, right? Because women downplay past experience. Men have to brag it up, right? So there's one guy that I saw like way long ago, and he talked like he was this big experienced player. It turns out he wasn't. He was a virgin. Did I care? No. I was pissed at him for lying. And that should have been a red flag, but I was really young. It was the sad man face. But I don't look down on anybody of any gender because of a lack of experience, So don't worry about that. Just be authentic, right? Because if you're willing to admit what you don't know and you haven't done, she'll be more willing to admit when she doesn't know how to do something too. But really make sure you're going where you're going, because it's somewhere you want to be. Because one, if you're just going to meet women and you don't, well, then it's a failure, right? You didn't meet the objective. If you're going because you're legitimately interested in the event, and you don't meet anybody, well, you're still interested in the event. It's still a win, right? It's not a waste of time. And if you go there and you meet somebody who's also there and really into it, even better, right? You have that shared interest. And then hopefully you have the same interest, you like the same thing for the same reasons. And with anything in geekdom, it is no guarantee that people like the same things for those same reasons, right? These fandoms are huge. Especially with ensemble casts. Like I love this stuff, but I do not root for the villain in Star Wars. I am original trilogy, I like Luke Skywalker seemed like the coolest freaking guy in the world. Princess Leia seemed like the coolest woman in the world. Han Solo seemed like a jerk to me. And to me, Luke seeing good still in Vader was about Luke, right? It was not about Vader. And when the series pivoted to Vader, why? He was a little shit. He was cute as a kid, but, by the time he hit Hayden Christensen, not Hayden Christensen's fault, he was a fucking psycho jerk, right? And here's the other thing you can do. When somebody doesn't have the same take on something as you do, instead of fighting them, no, you're wrong, ask them why. Why do they like it? Why don't they like it? Because you'll learn something. I was like, it was kind of a somebody I've been talking to for ages, right? We talked about everything, but finally said, I really like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I'm like, oh my God, me too. He's so cool, right? And we had a whole discussion about that. And his reason for liking Obi-Wan Kenobi was a little bit different from mine. But we had this really in-depth conversation about, and when you start the hard disagree, you shut that down, right? This is an opportunity to find out who this person is and how they view the world, right? Both ways. And if you get a red flag, don't ignore it. If you're dating somebody and they love They love Anakin Skywalker because, he killed all those Tusken Raider kids. Right away, right? But if the first exposure they had because they were a kid was to Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars cartoon, and they didn't see, the live action movies from that era until later, all right, childhood nostalgia, right? But this is a way to find out if somebody is approaching the thing you like from a mature, balanced perspective, or whether they are showing obsessive tendencies that probably reflect a larger problem, right? If somebody has a really intense, slash fic collection with certain characters, sometimes that's cool. Sometimes it's a sign that this is somebody whose expectations are not reasonable because they've spent so much time creating the perfect relationship in their head that they don't have the sense of what an actual healthy relationship is, because there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. You need to not just love but respect each other enough that when you feel hurt and you feel those defenses kicking in, you see the other person as significant enough to resist the urge to lash out. And that takes emotional maturity on your part, but also teamwork on both people's parts, because that means they shouldn't push when, you're clearly upset. Should find out what's wrong and care and want to sort of take the pressure off that pain point. Not, you did this, well, you did this, well, you did this. There are healthy conflict skills that are really essential to relationships working, and they are learned skills. Argument style is also really important. You can see that by, debating, say, Star Trek. Picard season 3 is awesome, right? I joke with Star Trek. Somebody says I'm a Trekker. It's like, what's your favorite series? There is a right answer. I'm kidding, of course, right? But it's like, I really like TNG. I like TOS. I like the original series, but I like TNG. If somebody's a big Deep Space Nine fan, even though that's like my second last favorite Star Trek series that I've watched, no, wrong. Third or fourth least favorite. It's in the middle of the pack, right? I'm not going to flip out, right? But if somebody's like, Star Trek Discovery is the best Star Trek ever made, we might not be on the same page of what's good. And that's somebody that cool can be a friend. But a close relationship like that? Probably not. Unless you're the type of people who really enjoy differences. Probably not. Star Trek's one of those things because it's always been so bleeding heart and preachy that it really says it's a Rorschach blot, right? But these are the things that get to know someone. Don't be so desperate to check that box that you don't get involved with the person because you like that person instead of, that's why you get involved with someone, not get involved with the person because you want a person in your life. And I get that it's hard. But the other thing that's helpful is if you've got people around you who reinforce that's better. It's better to be in no relationship than a bad one. Though, no, really. It is, Now, that doesn't mean never get close to anyone. Sorry, there's a cat here on my camera. But, you don't have to be all in or totally out. There is an in between. And you know, some of those self-esteem issues that might be driving you to want a girlfriend might be something you want to address before you get out there, right? Or while you're getting out there. Either way, you don't want a girlfriend. That's bad. You want to find the right person, right? All right, don't forget the workshop on the 29th. Link in the description box below. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/LeannaK. Should I have donated tickets to somewhere? Maybe that's an idea. I don't know. This is the first workshop we've done. I'm still working it out. Thanks for watching. Manly Mondays.